Hello and welcome to Actual Play AGON, a special Games on Demand online edition. Thanks to all the folks at Games on Demand for making this happen, especially Mad J, who I see in chat right now. There was this was a great event. It's going on all weekend. If you don't already know about it, there are still some games that have openings. So feel free to go to gamesondemand.online to check it out. And yeah, it's lots of games like this. Some streams, some not. People get together in lieu of cons. So thank you. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns. I will be the Strife player today. We're going to be playing AGON, this cool little game that some folks might have heard of, that I finally now have in my hands. And I'm very excited to get a chance to play it for the first time, having the physical copy. As sort of the normal channel announcement, our standard fare. All the proceeds to the channel go to are split between the Trans Legal Defense Fund and Black Lives Matter. So if you are donating, if you're subbing or you're giving cheer or whatnot, that's where that will go. If you want to donate directly so that Twitch isn't getting a piece, that's cool. I'll put some donate links in there. If you want to do other things that are not financial related, but you want other areas, ways you can help, I'll put some links to that too. And anything you can do is great. Yeah, that's talked enough about me. Let's go around the horn. How about you, Alexi?
Hey, yeah, so Alexi here. You can find all my gaming endeavors online at Cloven Pine Games. I'm a game designer, and you can check out games I've designed on my itch.io page. You can also follow Cloven Pine Games on Twitter. I'm excited to be checking out AGON. This is my first time playing this. Kristoff, I think you're up next.
Hi, my name's Kristoff. I recently published a game called Free Spacer. You can find all of the data on freespacer.com. I have a Twitter, Sophra, and that's pretty much it. Aaron?
Hey, I'm Aaron from Columbus, Ohio. You can find all of my gaming material at trailofdicegames.com. No, that's just trailofdice.com. Anyway, there and at DriveThruRPG, I've released a cosmic horror game, and I'm working on a 2-player Powered by the Apocalypse fantasy. Yeah, pronouns are he, him. Really excited about AGON today. And how about Donna?
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, my name is Donna, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm joining you all today from Dublin in Ireland, and this is my first time to play AGON. You can find a couple of games that I recently published on my Twitter. So yeah, that's about it. Back to you, Sean.
Nice. Thanks, Donna, and thanks for playing even in wild time zones. I appreciate it. I think many of us are in different time zones, so I appreciate everybody coordinating. Again, another tribute to GOD Online that to get us all together. So we are going to be playing AGON, and I will read the little trailer, the little teaser for it. In the mists of ancient time, a poet sings great deeds wrought by mighty heroes, of monsters slain and justice restored, of wise counsel and devious strategies, of courage, valor, and daring, defiant of the gods themselves. In AGON, you create these heroes, crafting their epic tale into an immortal legend. And that is what we're going to do today. We got together before the stream, and we did a little round of introductions and talked about the game a little bit. We have just made characters, but we haven't quite finished them because the next step is to go over to introduce them to each other. And so each player is a game designer. Yes, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize, Mankur, that everybody on this string was a designer. It's pretty cool. We'll definitely have to make sure to get some links on in the outro. I didn't catch everyone's links, but I'll type them in the outro. So we are going to introduce our characters to each other for the first time. Everyone on stream is going to be seeing it at the same time we do, and then we'll will start them on their first journey. So I think going in the same order, Lexi, will you introduce your character? Tell us, obviously, your epithet, your name, your lineage, what god you honor, but also your style, how we know you, what do you look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am playing keen-speared Demetria, daughter of Cleon, who is the general of Dippolon. She honors Hermes for the daring of the messenger god, and you would, pick her out of a crowd from her raven dark hair bound with a brazen band, her inherited ash spear that she wields, and her flashing and defiant eyes. I think with her father as a general, she feels she has a lot to prove. She feels she has a lot to live up to, and she is determined to earn that glory. Out on this grand adventure that our heroes are engaged in.
Fantastic. You say this inherited ash spear. Where did this spear come from?
Yeah, so I think her father is a tactician, right? Like a man who moves pieces on a map and sets armies against each other. But her grandfather was a warrior who fought on the front lines, and it's his spear that she now wields.
Nice. Fantastic. I think next around is, now I've got my order all mixed up. I think next round is Kristoff.
Yes, that is I. I am the fire-bellied Fido the baker, daughter of Persephone's the robber, and Persephone, granddaughter of Demeter, Zeus, Hephaestus, and Antitychia, and niece of Odysseus.
Just be ready to say that every time.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Her pronouns are she, her, and she is noticeable because she's quite large. She has skin like a brown loaf, clad all in white, and wields a massive flat baking spatula.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, her honored god is Hephaestus. Is that not one of? Well, I mean, she is technically granddaughter of Hephaestus, but I noticed that she has a bond with Demeter. What is her relationship to all her grandparents?
Well, they pull her in multiple directions. She took up baking. She is fire-bellied because she spends time in an oven like Hephaestus would love if she was a blacksmith, but she works with the bread of Demetri. Of Demeter. Works with the grains and grinds them, so she's quite strong and spends all her time in ovens and heat like her grandfather.
Dig it.
But nature still demands something from the baker. So.
Cool. And she this flat baking spatula. I imagine I'm thinking of like spatulas come in a lot of varieties. I'm thinking like pizza spatulas, which are these huge things. Is this a massive spatula? Yes. I mean, this is a flat thing which you could flip bread, but you could also crack skulls. It seems to me.
Crack skulls, row boats.
Oh, great!
It's a massive spatula that you'd stick into a stone oven.
Great, I dig it.
With multiple loaves on it, kind of thing, all along.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So let's envision, the 3-loaf spatula, the 5-loaf spatula. Get that concept in. Yeah. All right. Excellent. And I think Aaron, you are next.
Yeah. I will be portraying graceful Soteria, daughter of Arcadios the Virtuous. Soteria prefers she, her pronouns, and honors the goddess Athena the Wise. She stands out from the crowd due to her actually diminutive stature. She is quite small of frame, but with deep eyes and wild hair, and wields a spear and shield that are a little too big for her, but she has no trouble,
Do they look like something she pulled off of someone else of larger stature?
100%.
Nice.
Perhaps a slightly gigantic foe that stood no chance against her.
Nice. Very cool. Excellent. And finally, Donna, you're
Yeah, so tonight I will be playing swift-footed Achios, who is a son of Heracles, whose pronouns are he, him. He honors Artemis. I think the things that strike you about him are his panther-like grace and focus, and his clear and piercing eyes.
Nice. And how much goading does Acleos get, being the son of Heracles? How much living up to Papa's legend how much pressure does he feel to live up to that impossible standard?
I mean, I think it is an impossible standard, but he tries his best. But there's always going to be people complaining that I mean, he doesn't use a club like his father would. He uses a more traditional spear and shield. His armor looks like it's a hand-me-down or bought at a flea market. It doesn't look anything special. So yeah, he is, I think, in the eyes of those who probably look up to his father's example, he falls well short.
I see. Does he carry anything of his? You have any artifact or?
I don't think so.
No. Well, I noticed that you've made him mortal, which means like he didn't really inherit his father's divine spark, right? Or at least we haven't seen that, right? We haven't seen that.
Yeah. I made him mortal because I mean, Hercules isn't a god, really. He's just a demigod. So,
sure, right. Yeah, right. It gets diluted.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Excellent. Fantastic. So the way I'm going to play right into Alfredo the Baker here for a moment, because Kristoff, you've inspired me with the challenge. The way we start a game of AGON is we determine who the leader is for this particular island. If we were playing in a campaign, we would do this in between each island, and there would be a little like rest and recovery from the past island phase that was built into it as well, where we do a little tending to each other, getting to know one another. But as the first island, we just sort of jump right to the leadership contest. And this is where we're going to find out who among you will be the leader for this island. It doesn't again, it changes from island to island, but I'm going to introduce your first contest. And this is not only so not only the importance of figuring out the leadership, but it's also like our getting used to the game mechanics, and in this case in Roll20 and how that works. And Alfito, I think you most keenly would be aware of the diet of the crew of your ship, and what you've become very aware of is their incredible discontent. You have been traveling for it's how can you tell day from night when the sun and the moon and the stars are hidden from you? It seems like you've been traveling for an eternity, and you've been catching fish, and you've been digging deeper and deeper into the supplies that you had on your ship, which should have been a very short journey, should have been over ages ago, but now you've taxed almost all of your provisions. All of the great spices that you might have carried with you have for the most part been used up, and the hunger. But not just the hunger, the frankly, the boredom of what you've had to eat is just, you all see that it is withering away at the sailors' morale and their energy. And they just look so despondent. And you realize that they are this close to just giving up hope. Like they're this close to just saying, like, it's not a god or a tidal wave or a monster that's going to kill us. It's this, eating one more baked, unseasoned fish that we just caught out of the sea that gives us, that does not nourish our souls, that will do it. So which among you well, first let me roll the strife. I'll tell you how bad it is. Now, because I am because you haven't arrived on an island yet, there's no strife on the island. So this is going to be a fairly easy contest. All of the others from this point on will be harder. But first, I'll tell you what the challenge is to sort of restore these these heroes, your sailors rather, to be willing to go on, to be willing to carry on. So let me first roll that. Everybody watching at home can see me pull up this this cool Strife player sheet that Jacob made. You see all these awesome stars that have not been filled up. Tell you all that we're going to be going to Fenios, as the island we'll be arriving at shortly. And for now, let's go ahead and roll that and that and set the Strife level at 0. And this is a contest of craft and reason to find them some sustenance, to forge some sustenance that will liven their spirits. Oh, wow. I rolled very well for this contest, not very well for others. The challenge is target number 6. So anyone who wants to face this challenge, I'm going to ask you in a moment, will have to get a 6 or higher to prevail. Anyone who cannot make a 6 or higher will you'll describe how you suffer in attempting to do this, how you've disappointed them, how you've made some poisonous concoction, whatever it is that you've done. Anyone who gets a 6 or higher will, in ascending order, so the highest person will go last, will describe how you prevail. And the last person, who is the best, will put that like final cherry on the top, the final note of how you impress, not to negate the great deeds of your fellows, even those who suffered, but to say how you won them over. Notably, anyone who competes will get 1. If you suffer, if you fail, you'll gain 1 glory. If you prevail, you'll gain half of the total, so you get 3 glory. And if you are best, you'll get the full amount, so you'll get 6 glory. So there are 6 glory at stake on this, and whoever wins gets to decide the leader of this. So, who among you will attempt to nourish not only the bellies but the souls of these despondent and hapless sailors? Let's go on. Yes, yeah, Fido the Baker well. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, and does your epithet apply to this, do you think?
Indeed.
All right, so tell me that as well. When you say your name, tell me all the dice that you're planning on rolling. So tell me your name for sure. Tell me your epithet if it applies, and tell me your lineage tell me your lineage as well, because that's going to go into craft and reason. So.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think she steps forward, stomping a massive boot onto the thing, and shouts, "I, fire-bellied of Fido the Baker, granddaughter of Dimitri, shall find sustenance within this place to feed the spirits of these pitiful sailors."
Wonderful. Who else among you? What other heroes? Stand up and say your name if you will try to bolster your sailors.
I, keen-speared Demetria, daughter of Cleon, the general of Diplon, will rally the troops and nourish our flagging sailors.
Wonderful.
And also a graceful Satyria, daughter of Arcadios the Virtuous, will do what she can to bring sustenance to these brave sailors.
I, swift-footed Acleos, also rise to this challenge. Through honoring Artemis, the huntress, I will feed our sailors.
Very nice, very nice. So, Dano, you just did a fun thing here, which is by calling on a god, right? So you have all of these marks of divine favor. You can, I don't necessarily suggest it now, but you can spend any one of those marks when you're rolling to call on their, in addition to everything you bring to the table, you can call on a divine favor to aid you. You can also, if you want to, dig really deep and spend your own pathos to bring in yet another domain. Again, I'm not going to suggest on this particular contest because this is frankly one of the easiest ones, but if you really want to win this leadership contest because you want to be a leader, you could certainly consider those. So I'm going to walk through the normal process of rolling, and if you decide you want to bring in these other elements, please feel free to do so. Aaron, I've got Soteria pulled up right now on the sheet. So what you're going to do is the contest of craft and reason. If you click on craft and reason on the character sheet, it'll pop up a little thing that says input value, and your target value is going to be 6 because that's the
6.
that's the
Strife roll.
The strife roll. Then it's going to say your epithet die. If your epithet applies, and again, that's entirely up to you, you're going to select your epithet from the list. You'll say none, or in this case, you could say graceful. And then it will ask, do you add another domain by spending Pathos? So again, I'm not really recommending it right now, but if you wanted to say, I'm going to bring in arts narration, I'm going to bring in blood and valor, I'm going to bring in another domain, you could mark one of your Pathos and describe how you dig really deep and you call on this reserve to bring another domain to bear, and you would add that die to it. Roll 20 will do all of it for you.
And what's the consequence of marking Pathos? Like, I see there's only 5 circles.
So what happens with Pathos reflects your spirit and your endurance and your will. It can be, suffering Pathos might be taking harm, but it also might be feeling defeated or being embarrassed. Once you fill that 5th one, the next, and you pass over what's called agony. When you take that your 6th Pathos, your hero would have been defeated if they were, if they were not this great legendary person that they would have been defeated. You're going to describe how the building collapses on top of you, how you turn and weep for the loss that you have just received. You'll show how your character is defeated in the moment. And then in the next scene, you'll kind of talk about how they have, come back around. But you'll mark one fate, and fate is permanent. It never goes away. Once your fate track is over, your character's story is done. So if you continue to suffer Pathos, or if you need to mark divine favor and you can't, either of those things will cause you to suffer fate. And when your fate, now fate is sort of a death spiral upward. The more fate you take, the more awesome you become. You get to advance things when you take fate. So there's a certain gaminess there. You can be like, yeah, I kind of wanna take some fate because I get cool things as my story advances, but also I don't want to get it all the way because I want to try and return home. Since this is a one shot, I'd say, sky's the limit. Do as you like.
All right.
But yes, Pathos is your inner reserves.
Okay.
The next box that'll pull up is say any other dice, advantage, bond dice, support, etc. So if you had any advantage dice here, which you would have gotten from like a previous contest, you'd add those in. You can just hit submit, 0 on that. And then it'll say spend divine favor, and you'll just put in how many of your divine favor you're going to spend, if any. Again, I don't particularly recommend doing that right now, but you certainly could. Generally speaking, you're going to take all of your dice and roll them and take the highest 2. When you roll divine favor, it's always a D4, but it gets added to your roll instead of going into the pool. If you spend multiple divine favor, they form a pool of their own. So if you spend 2 divine favor, you still roll 2D4 and you take the highest among those. But it allows you to add to your total. So so do that, and everybody go ahead and click, and we'll see what you all get. All right. All right, I'm seeing some results.
Wow, Alfito.
Alfito is,
my goodness.
Yeah. Fari Velvet. Okay. Oh my goodness. Ooh, that was close. All right. So we're gonna go in reverse order. Fate smells like corruption and blades. Yeah, Kristoff. There's definitely some blades tech in this game. All right, so we're gonna go in order from lowest to highest. So first, Aaron, sorry, I've been using you as my guinea pig. You're the first one on the list, so I keep grabbing your character. But how do you suffer? There's no harm that you take in this contest. Some contests, when you suffer, you'll take harm. This contest, the only harm is your shame, which this could be suffering enough. But tell me how you suffer.
Well, that's actually where I was going. My shame is palpable, not only to me as I slink back from the challenge and fail to find any sustenance, but also my reputation with the crew, right? I mean, Here I am, big swinging hero, and coming up short.
Yeah. What was it that you were attempting to do? What was it that you were, describe the action that ultimately does not prevail? Were you fishing? Were you?
I was
hunting?
fishing. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
my spear should have been sufficient to catch a goodly haul, and it was not. I kept missing, and what I did come up with was rotten and inedible.
Yeah, I think it's almost you sense that I think you've got to. There's a moment where you sense that like there's this great, beautiful fish, and it like moved out of the way just the right moment, and you just feel like the gods themselves are tormenting you. Like Poseidon himself just sort of pushed it out of the way just at the last
Absolutely.
moment, you know. And when you
And it'll
pull
be known as the one that got away.
yeah, right, and that it almost winks at you. All right, so you gain 1 glory for your attempt.
Okay.
But you do not prevail, and we still see these. You know, when the spirit comes up, they're all like drooling and hungry, and they're all looking in excitement, and then they see that the haul you pull up will not sustain them.
No.
And so then we
Okay.
go in the next order, which I think the next character who prevailed was swift-footed Aklios. You show us how you feed them, how you help these sailors.
Yeah, so I think you see Aklios, taking a line down some rocks, a while away, maybe a quarter mile from where we have drawn up the ship on the beach, and he's hunting crabs, and using his shield as some kind of basin to gather them up. And that's not glorious, but it takes a while to ferret them out from their little cubby holes, and quite maybe a couple of crabs for everyone, which is probably good enough to keep us from starvation, but nothing compared to what Demetria or Alfido have to offer us.
Yeah, I imagine this little scene where like there's like 3 or 4 sailors sitting on the deck shelling crabs, greedily waiting, because it's so much work to eat crabs, right? Like there's such a so time taking. I can imagine these sailors feverishly shelling them, and I think with a very impressive 11, Keen speared Demetria to tell us. Oh, I'm sorry. Aklios, you gain 3 glory, half of the target, and Keen speared Demetria. Tell us how you prevail.
Yeah, I think as I'm pacing the deck, keeping eyes peeled for anything that could potentially feed this crew. There's a hush that falls over the sailors as a shadow is cast over the whole ship, and people look in the air at a massive bird is just flying above us. Its huge wingspan overshadowing, and as like some of the sailors scatter, I set my feet firmly and heft my spear and toss it right through the bird's throat, so that the creature comes like crashing down and like lands unexpectedly gently aboard the ship, and we are able to butcher and feast upon this bird's carcass.
Fantastic. I like this. One of you looks to the sea, the other one looks to the sky, and as it falls, the sailors of course rejoice. This is a great boon that they have not seen in many days. However, it is, and you gain 3 glory for prevailing. However, it is ultimately, I didn't mean to like lob this one to you, Kristoff. I was just like, well, we've got a baker. I'm going to make a cooking challenge, right? But you pulled it through. It is ultimately Alfito that is the best. Tell us how you prevail.
I think it looks like this. Everyone's out like jumping out on the rocks of this little, not so much an island, but like rocky sandy bar to get crabs, and someone's shooting out, this other person's fishing, and meanwhile Alfito's nowhere to be found, but the boat is shaking and rocking and moving, and she comes up dusty with flour and powder and rock on her knees, and like snatches the crabs and grabs the bird and drags it downstairs, and then there's smoke starts pouring up through the porthole to the thing, and she's built an oven of the ballast within the bottom of the ship, and she starts bringing up these massive pies with fish and with a crab and bird meat in them and baked of things, and hands them out to the men who she had just recently slapped their hands and their heads to keep them from eating the meat.
Right, they were just gonna eat it raw, or just like put it over a fire with no.
Put it over a fire? That's not how you make it. And she's like passing these out of her massive bulk, carrying like 14 pies at a time, just passing them out to all the men. And she's like, "Ho, an island for Dimitri, go!" And she points and gets them to all start rowing while they eat.
Fantastic. I imagine the scene of like of them rowing and like taking a break and feverishly like diving into the pies, and then going like someone calls to row and they row again and feverishly dive into the pies.
Well, there's a pace, like a rifleman's charge, except for it's the baker's row, which every other person bakes while every other person rows while every other person eats.
Yep, perfect. And row they row so hard with full bellies and full hearts that they row you right out of these mists and onto an island. Kristoff, you gain 6 glory, and also you gain the right to choose the leader. If you decide it's you, that's great. If you decide it's somebody else, you will earn a bond with them. So you can give that leadership role to anyone you like. But clearly, in the moment, everyone is looking to you.
I think she's doing the baker's baking and cooking and serving and eating all at the same time, and pats keen-speared Demetria on the back and goes, "Excellent protein selection there. I did not see that as I was down below building an oven, but why don't you take the lead on this island? It smells like something your spear could hold."
Very nice. All right, Demetria.
I would be honored, Firebelly Delfito.
Fantastic. So Kristoff, go ahead and take a bond with Demetria. She owes you for this. And Demetria, you are the leader on this island, which means you get the glorious task of interpreting all this nonsense I'm about to send at you.
Oh, goody.
Fenios, the island that you are, as the mists are clearing, you see something off in the distance, and I will tell you the what is known about Fenios, and then I will tell you the signs of the gods that you receive. And you, as leader, get to tell us what those mean. You can describe them now. You can interpret them now, or you can as we proceed, you could say, this must be what this means. You can even change your mind. You can have a revelation in the middle, but you're the one who decides ultimately whether or not you're going to appease or earn the wrath of the gods based on your actions. And just for a little bit of movie magic, I should have thought about this beforehand. I will send, I'm going to put a link in our private chat, in Zoom chat, that has a link to all of the islands. And if you go to, I'm giving you this in case you would like to read the signs of the gods yourself rather than having me present them.
Oh, got it. Tell me the name of our island one more time.
Fenios. And whenever my very slow Dropbox syncs, it is on page 22.
Fenios. I found it. Okay.
Great. All right. So I'll read the little description everyone knows, and then I will pass it to you to the signs of the gods. Fenios is filled with thick forest, natural springs, and hidden caves. The island of Fenios is known for its yearly hunt of the legendary golden boar. All right. And tell us about these signs that appear as the mist recedes.
All right. As the mist recede, the gods reveal their desires through signs. So there's a sign from Hera, goddess of vengeance. Her sign is a fire pit and the guilty roasting on a spit above it. A sign from Poseidon, god of earthquakes. Through the mists, you see a towering building crumbling to the ground. And then from Athena, goddess of civilization, a gust of wind nearly capsizes your ship. but for your sturdy rigging and coordinated efforts of the sailors, who claim they were guided by her unseen hand. Oh, fascinating.
And I think, encouraged by their full bellies as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alexi, does Demetria, do you want to proclaim the meaning of these signs yet, or would you like to tell us as we go through play what you think they mean when you've learned more about the strife on the island?
I think I have an interpretation that I'll share, as we're coming ashore. Yes,
Excellent.
and if things change my interpretation later, I will update you. But I'll declare to my fellow heroes and to the crew, the signs from the gods are clear. There is some great peril to civilized life here on this island, some crime that cries out for vengeance, and only when punishment is meted out will the threat to civilization be stilled.
And it is not long after Demetria shares this portent with all of you. And everyone sees these signs, but it is the leader's duty to interpret them, to be the oracle here. So you're all aware of these signs. I think you arrive at Fenios at night, and you see fires burning. Let's pull up Fenios, since I've got this cool playmat that we made. Bump. There we go. And I'll move all the players to it too, so everybody can see it. Where is it? No, that's not it. There we go. All right. Now you shall have you shall see it, and you can see the signs of the gods as well. You arrive at night and you see buildings burning. They've gone out of control. As soon as you set foot on shore, you feel the ground itself shaking, as with the anger of Poseidon's earthquakes. But this is not coming from an unknown source. This comes from you can see the source of this. It is a massive boar, covered in a steel mask with its red eyes piercing through. Chains hang from the mask, and the boar itself, which stands as tall as a building itself, is just prickled with blades and arrows that seem to have no effect on it. Any attempts thus far to defeat this creature have failed, and you see that you can tell some of these wounds are ancient, that it has not been hunted or fought for a day or a night, but for years, and none of them have stopped this bull. It is out of control, tearing through the streets, and its powerful tusks sunder anyone or anything that stands in its path. I'm sorry, I described the eyes as red. I apologize. Its eyes are golden and filled with hate, hence the golden boar that you have all heard of. Ahead of you, very close in front of you, inside the city, just off of the shore, is a marble statue of Queen Isadora, and it's circled by a ring of people holding hands. As if sensing their determination to protect the monument, the golden boar turns its attention to them and charges. Their leader, a young woman who bears a striking resemblance to the statue of the queen, commands the others to hold fast. Capra the usurper took my mother's throne. She will not take her memory. And you see these people, and they are armed, they are capable, they are prepared. But from every evidence that you've seen, the boar has so far been undeterred by even the greatest resistance. Perhaps you, as great heroes, could convince them to flee and not throw away their lives. Perhaps you could even fend off the boar and save them. What will you do in this terrible moment of strife and panic? Matt J says punishment. Yes. I'm not sure where that was from because I looked away from chat, Jay, but yes, there's plenty of punishment.
So
Yeah.
how do we go about doing this? Do we just announce our plan? Do we make a
Yeah,
plan?
you can so generally I would say, you feel free to ask me any details, feel free to describe any actions that you're taking. There's clearly a very imminent threat. All the islands in AGON start with an imminent threat where you have to take some action. I mean, you don't have to. You can abide by and let this boar murder all these people. That's also very possible. But you can discuss amongst yourselves. This is one of those moments where in the movie, version of this, the action is going to be very fast and you're going to leap to it. But in the director's cut, in the writing room, all the writers are going to be like, so do you think that we would, and so you can converse amongst your heroes. And if you can't come to a decision, I will turn to Demetria to ask her what it is that you do. But yeah, feel free to play out any actions you want to take. Obviously there's a very urgent situation, but tell me how you want to approach it.
I'll turn to my compatriots and say, these people will be naught but prey before this great beast, but perhaps we could hold it off. We should tell them to get to safety and then confront the monster on our own.
And I think Fido would be like, but they guard that statue, the spirit of their queen. They will not leave so easily. I think we should gain the people's aid and fend off the beast with them. Perhaps drive it into one of those ruined buildings. They would make an excellent oven for such a beast.
I like you already thinking about cooking this thing. Yeah.
I think that sounds like a sound plan.
I think we can see how little effect weapons have on this beast. We should use the chains to prevent it from advancing. These people will obviously defend that statue with their lives, even if it is to no avail.
So each of us grab a chain and try to direct the beast into one of these into a building that we try to, and then attempt to trap and destroy it.
Just as our bravery and skill saw us through the storm, so we must grasp this nettle, even though a boar is a very dangerous beast, and this one more than usual.
Nice.
Very well, compatriots. If you will stand with me, we will grab the boar by the chains.
Agreed.
All right. Kristoff, I think Alfido had the notion of sort of gathering the people. Are you going to follow your leader here, or are you going to try and rally the people? Will you join in grabbing the chains?
I asked this mere mortal Demetria to take the lead, so I will aid her.
Nice.
In grabbing the chains.
Wonderful. So we have a contest of blood and valor against the golden boar. The boar is, I'm just going to double check. I believe one of its traits are, since I have it, yes, it is perilous. That's not a big surprise here. That means that there is harm to be suffered for any of those who fail. You will mark Pathos. Grabbing hold of these chains is, as you might imagine, a daunting task. So we know the plan. Let me go ahead and roll the target. So the golden boar, a legendary creature which you have heard of even before you arrived here, is a D10 name. It is rampaging, which is also D10. It's our strike level. And it is perilous. And the other epithets that it has are great tusked and masked. I don't think masked applies. You're not trying to communicate with it. The mask is more of a communion. But the great tusks are certainly a problem. Those are epic. So one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is tell me before you even attempt how first you are trashed by this boar, because everyone, in order to join in this contest, must mark Pathos just to join. You'll mark another Pathos if you fail, because it is that deadly. And I do believe the tusks here certainly apply because you're grabbing hold of its chains, and it's going to do everything it can to toss you about. So let me make sure I have the tusks. Yep, great tusks. 88. All right. Name, epithet, tusks, blah, blah, blah. Roll strife. Let's see how we do. Contest of blood and valor. Bump.
That's a 10.
That's a 10. Ah, you got it off easy. Okay. Yeah, so I know you've all committed to this, but I'll ask you again. Because there's another option. There's one other thing you could do, and that is that you could support another hero. You could say, I'll end my aid to your hero. If you support somebody, a couple things happen. One of them is that you give them your name die. The second one is that you gain 1 glory for supporting them. And the third one is you gain a bond with them. But you will not be in this contest, and you cannot try to achieve any of this 10 glory bounty. But you'll be aiding your fellow. So we'll go around again, and everyone will say whether or not they're going to face this challenge by saying your name and your epithet if it applies, and your lineage. And if you wish to support somebody instead, you'll say I, and you say your name, and you'll say I support so and so, and then we'll know that you won't be rolling in it, but they will be gaining your name dice bonus. So
Sean,
yes.
before we do that, we have to mark Pathos. How do we do that? We mark it from the top, and is there a certain number we have? I thought it was different numbers based on mortal or not mortal or something.
Nope, it's the same for everybody. Yep. So you mark it at the top, and notably, you only have to mark it if you're getting into this contest. You can be like, "Whoa, I definitely don't want to do that. That boar looks terrifying." I think just to like set the scene a little bit, 2 of the people that were guarding the statue have an idea kind of similar to yours, and they think we can guide this boar, and so. They run out with spears with spears that have cross blades in front of them that are meant for slaying boars. These are long spears with sturdy shafts, and one of them plunges a spear right underneath the mask, and it like for a moment they're like, yeah, we got this thing, and the boar just its tusk wraps around it and snaps the spear like a twig, and his companion, who was just standing there, is gored and collapses horribly in a bloody mess. And this one spearless individual staring there in panic as you're in terror as you arrive. Just to kind of foreshadow some of the bad things that might happen to all of you. So yes, who will face this contest? This deadly boar.
I, keen-speared Demetria, daughter of Cleon, the general of Dipylon, calling on the daring of the god Hermes, will face this boar.
Smart. Who else among you?
And I, Soteria, the graceful daughter of Arcadios the virtuous. And I will call upon Athena, the wise. And should we also narrate? You said we're supposed to narrate how we get thrashed a little bit before.
We'll do that when you recite your deeds. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're just saying who faces them, and then we'll roll the dice, and then you'll recite your deeds. But you'll know that no matter what, if you're facing this boar, you're suffering Pathos. So if you prevail, it's real bad. If you don't prevail, you're still getting knocked around by it. But I'll leave that knock around to you. It could be the sorrow of seeing the boar hurting the innocent. That really makes you suffer, right? Who else? Who will face this boar or will support their companions?
I, swift-footed Acleos, son of Heracles, will call upon the fortitude of Poseidon to best this beast.
Nice.
And finally, a fire-bellied of Phaedo the baker, with the flaming hand of Hephaestus, shall grasp upon the chains and defeat this beast.
Wonderful. Okay, my friends. I heard some indicators that you would be so everybody mark Pathos right now. You may mark more in a second. We'll see. I heard lots of indicators that folks were calling upon their honored gods. That is wonderful. The way you'll do that is you'll unmark one of those little check marks next to them. You will, when it gets to that point where it says divine favor, you'll say 1. Unless you spend more, you can spend more, but you'll say 1. And then you will roll the dice. And when you describe your action, whether you suffer or you prevail, you'll add in all those elements, how your god has aided you in this this moment. The other thing that's worth noting is that I did say everybody mark Pathos, but you can say no. Someone protects me. You can call upon a bond and not suffer the Pathos at any time. So even that first initial Pathos that everyone has to take to just get in the fight, you can say, well, I would have been smashed, but only for my but for the grace of graceful soteria. She pulled me out of the way at the moment. So you can spend a bond instead of suffering that Pathos. Yeah, go ahead and roll them bones. And I love that Roll20 just never wants to make the image match up quite with OBS. I'm like, it's totally lined perfect. And then oh my goodness, Demetria making up for. Making up for a bad try. Ooh, okay. So far, it looks like you're all just doing fantastic. I think we just need to see Alfito.
Yeah, I'm just going through it, trying to make sure I don't make any mistakes.
Yeah. It's a bit of a gauntlet, honestly. We tried to make the options as flexible as possible, but that meant so many screens. Okay, so you all prevail. Fantastic. I sense the gods helping you in this moment. We're gonna go in exact reverse order. Alfito, tell me how you how first you suffer or someone protects you from it, and then you prevail over the golden boar.
So Alfito leaps forward with her massive paddle on her back, and one of the great horns comes towards her, but Demetria, grateful for this chance to lead, parries it with her spear.
Ooh, very cool.
And,
so spend that bond and no Pathos suffered.
And so Alfito grabs a chain. You just notice just as she grabs the chain, her hand lights on fire and forms up her arms. She grabs a chain which becomes red hot, and it's a chain close to the back of the beast. So the beast like screeches once this like hot metal reaches it, and she pulls it around towards one of the empty temple buildings.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think it roars from suffering a new kind of pain, right? Like it suffered many blows, but it's never had these chains burn it before.
It's never had the heat of Hephaestus, the
No.
heat of the forge, reforging the chains to her own body.
All right, graceful Solteria, tell us how you prevail and how you suffer to start, or who
sure. For sure. Well, first, I just grabbed the nearest chain that sort of flails by my face, but I soon realized that this was folly because I'm smacked rather hard against a building, and I fall on my face. Actually,
I mean the chains are whipping violently. Yeah, I can imagine you trying to grab one and they're flinging you. Absolutely.
But then I find through Athena's wisdom, of course.
Does like a certain part of the boar like glint in the firelight? So
it's not part of the boar, but yes, absolutely. There's a spotlight from heaven, if I may, on a single story building, and I realized that if I could just get up there, and then I would have a a greater point of purchase, a better. So I run up on top of the building, and it allows me to get a much, much better grasp of the next chain that flies by, and I'm just able to stand my ground sure-footedly.
Fantastic.
And guide the boar where it needs to go.
Aklios. Swift-footed Aklios, tell us how you prevail.
So I think these chains whipping around at ungodly speeds. I have dropped my spear, but I have my shield still on my arm, and it takes the brunt of one of these chains, and it wins me a little bit. I think it stings the shoulder, such as the clash of the phalanx has never done before. But as the chain falls to the ground right in front of me, I'm swift enough to grab it, and then I think I loop the chain high in the air so that it goes over the tusk, and I use that as an anchor to pull the boar to bay.
Nice. I think you all feel as you grab hold of these chains a presence of the gods. Kristoff in particular, Alfito, who's warmed these chains with the heat of Hephaestus, knows that this mask is some powerful artifact, and not to be undone by mortals, but perhaps to be mastered by them. And you feel it receive that heat that you infuse into it welcomely. It doesn't make the boar very happy, but it is a powerful artifact, of course.
Yes, of course, because I also brought in craft and reason as well. I spent a Pathos to do that. The chain that I was holding is no longer actually a chain. It is like a stick, like a staff that's protruding from the back of the boar that you could kind of steer it with.
Oh, nice. You've melted the links into a single shaft, and finally, so everybody so far, you've either marked your Pathos and you've or spent a bond and described how you prevailed, and you gain 5 glory. However, it is keen-spirited Demetria who is the best. Describe how you will lead this boar into another temple with the aid of your companions.
Yeah, so I've marked 2 Pathos here because there's one Pathos we need just to fight this ferocious creature, and I'm using another Pathos to bring in arts and oration to this contest. So I think what this looks like is, as I'm making my approach, the hoof of the boar lashes out and dents my shield nearly in half, possibly breaks my arm, but I don't have time to focus on that right now.
Trivial things like broken arms.
Yeah.
Those tusks are pretty deadly too. It's just a walking death machine, this thing. Yeah.
But I'm calling on the daring of Hermes, and I feel like a wind at my back as I charge right into this danger with a leap, bring my spear into the boar's side, and then use that to propel myself up to the top of the boar, right? Grabbing onto that wonderful whole forged chain that Alfito has helped to create. As I call out to the people defending the statue, and I tell them to pull back so that there can be a safe path to drive the boar right into this empty temple. And I even call on some of them to push down some of the precarious columns at the edges of the temple, so that as we smash the boar in, the roof will come down on it and trap it.
Nice, very cool. Indeed.
But I need 2 Pathos, so I think there's I look down and see a hairline fracture in my spear. After I've used it to vault myself up to the top of the boar, to
pierce the boar's hide.
Yeah.
Oh, your grandfather's spear.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I think that as I understand it, you're riding this thing, and it's like a bucking bronco, and it threatens at every moment to fling you. But yet, for your glorious companions who are like reining it in and pulling it, and keeping it from bucking. I have once at the Diana Jones Awards gotten on that little like bucking bronco machine thing that like you try to stay on for like 12 seconds. I think I did 2.5. It is very hard to do. Just say this thing wants it has a human vindictiveness to it. This is clearly a beast. It is clearly not a creature that speaks or that has a human mind, but there's a human hatred in it as it tries to like smash you into walls and like just tries to do everything it can to wrest you from control of it, but it cannot. And finally, in an attempt to, what it thinks is attempt to fling you off, it goes right into your trap. And the collapse is titanic. It's felt throughout the whole city. This building, what? Just curious, what kind of temple did you send it into? Was this a temple of Hera or Poseidon, or it was totally your call? Just which god's temple do you want to destroy right now?
It says to the unknown god over the lintel.
Gods. Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Concerns, right?
Yeah. So we're being very nonpartisan in our temple destruction here. This unmarked temple. Probably some
not brave enough to destroy Hera's temple. Come on, it'd be full of fire. It'd be great.
I didn't know if there was a god that you maybe had that was in a bad way with you, that you felt like you wanted to get a little vengeance on. But suffice to say, I think you leap off right at the last moment. You're still scuffed up. All of you are beaten and battered from this thing. None of you walked out of this, except I think someone was protected by their ally. But for the most part,
I was not hurt by the boar, but I was hurt by the fire.
Yes, right. Yeah. So all of you have suffered, and you feel this horrible the shake as the boar, I think, kind of does to itself once it gets inside, and you've kind of dropped the crossbar and you've battered it, and everyone's got their shoulders at the door to make sure that it can't get out. It just as you described, the temple collapses on top of it. Like it rages and thrashes. This thing is surely not defeated, because creatures of this sort of legendary thing cannot be defeated in a single contest. They must be faced in battle, but it is trapped now and giving you time to help these people and perhaps convince them to flee to a safer place. You see guards kind of at the distance, pushing some people back. Obviously, leadership of this has been changed recently. The woman who led the group, Nasia, comes, I think, to you, Demetria, and she holds a spear in her hand as well. It is not an ashen spear of your grandfather's, but it clearly is one that has a history as well. It clearly has been passed down to her. It clearly holds some meaning to her. And she has the man who was impaled by the boar, like his arm is like over her, and she's kind of helping him. And she looks at you and she says, "Keen spear Demetria, I have heard legend of you and your companions. This is not your battle, but I thank you for your aid in saving so many of mine. Surely they would have perished had you not come to aid."
We are honored to assist courageous people like you. Whose spear is it that you bear, young leader of these guardians?
And there's this, I don't know if anybody is a fan of Korra, The Legend of Korra, but there's this moment starting, I think, season 2, where there's a statue of Aang, the airbender, standing and looking all cool, and then the camera like pans down to Korra standing and looking all cool, and you get the same shot where you look up at the statue of Queen Isadora and she's holding the spear, and it's clearly got the same like emblem in it. It's clearly got the same emblem of Artemis in the same sign Artemis in it, and then we like see her holding it, and the camera like looks straight through, and you could tell it's the same spear as the one in the statue, that she's holding her mother's spear, blessed by Artemis, you know, or maybe not blessed by, but certainly dedicated to Artemis. And she says, but what she tells you is, I hold the spear of the fallen queen. It doesn't seem like she's real keen on her mother at this. She's not real happy with her mother at the moment. She speaks, with sorrow in her voice.
I think with that, Ophida probably patting out her burning hand, looks at her, goes, "Great lineages have great burdens," and pats it on herself and starts to look over at the boar.
Yeah, she that rings so true to her. Like, it's very clear that she is. It's very clear that she is. That she feels that, and she's looking to all of her people who don't know what to do now. Some of them say we have to retreat, and others say we need to. No, we can't let we can't leave the statue of the queen behind. And she is. She thanks you, but she also feels very much like the necessity for her to continue leading her people. So she's not looking to you for aid, but you can tell in this moment that rallying those people, you could assist her with, and they seem divided. She says, she looks and says, the boar has been trapped for now. We must retreat and regroup. And she's trying to lead them back to, and I think even for this great deed you've done for her, she says, you're welcome in our small camp. What do you heroes want to do? Do you want to aid her in sort of gathering up all these people, including those who want to fight? Or will you take her up on an offer? Will you venture out on your own? And when she spoke to Demetria, it was because Demetria was best in that contest, but clearly she honors like all of you. Like, she appreciates all of your contributions. None of you did not prevail in an amazing way.
So in this moment, depending on the structure of the game, could we pursue the boar again and have a chance to defeat it?
You could. You'd miss out on all like the juicy story of how the boar came to be and why it's trapped, and all the like bits about like, this boar is controlled by that mask, and like who controls the mask itself, and like the whole story of it. It's like you could, but it's also a sacred creature on this island, and like that the gods would have feelings about the destruction of it. That said, you're all big damn heroes, and you can just be like, yeah, we figured out enough. We're going to go slay that boar and end the problem. And if you want to do that, we jump to battle, and we absolutely do it. It rages out of the temple, and we fight it right here. I think you would want to gain the consensus of your group, or at least that of your leader, before diving in. But absolutely, it is on the table for you.
It was a question. We could, yes.
Yeah, 100%.
I would support learning a little more about this island.
Same.
Cool. I think there's two very obvious avenues for you. There's the guards wear a golden mask with like little ornamental chains hanging from it. Mm-hmm. It's very clear that they are, though these masks do not have the same level of detail or craftsmanship to them, though they're clearly like replicas, it's very clear that they stand with this boar, and they are using this boar as their juggernaut that is taking the town by force. They guard a stronghold, which you could clearly take now, given that the boar is, at least for the moment, trapped. Or you could retreat back to Nasia's camp. to find out more from her, or explore the town. But those seem to be the kind of like obvious. Those things are in front of you right now.
So where's this this fortress? I don't remember it being in the description, so I missed it.
Yeah. So remember the very beginning, one of the signs of the gods was this building collapsing in the distance, and you can kind of see over these high walls that there is the seat of Queen Isadora. And there's a big tower that has fallen, but nevertheless, someone is still holding that fortress, and the guards surround it, and there are fires burning within it. Though the queen herself is no longer on the throne, someone clearly is there and issuing commands from it.
If any of the guards are close enough to approach, I'll just walk right up to one and say, "You there, masked man, whom do you serve?"
He says. He looks at you and he says, "Great hero, I serve one even worthier than you. Capra, the loyal, the determined. She sits upon the throne now as the one who righteously captured and mastered the golden boar. She owns claim to the throne from her great deeds." And he's like, no problem telling you, like, he's not lying to you. He's super proud of this hostile takeover. Like, he's just like, yep, we took the fortress. It's ours now. Eat it. He's very, very content. But he also knows who you are, and he knows that he's just a little soldier, and he's not like gonna throw down with you unless you try and break past the fortress.
Yeah. I have no need to throw down with him unless the time comes that we storm this fortress and we kill him and all of his ilk if need be.
Sure. Could be.
And I'll like say that to him in a friendly manner, just so he knows where we stand.
Right. I think he looks at you in that way that people know that their names won't be remembered, but yours will. He looks at you like, I am just a piece of the system, but like I'm part of a system that I believe in, and he's not willing. He knows he's not a match for you, but neither will he grant you passage without a fight. He's a hunter, and he's clearly like been in the tough wilds of Fenios before and faced this terrifying boar, but yeah, you kind of, I think what that comes out as like a humph. Like let's see it,
So is this the soldier at like the gates or atop the wall?
I mean, I'm imagining that there's like a bunch of them out, and they're kind of like right at the edge of the fortress. They're sort of like watching as the boar rampages, or they were up until now. Yeah. But yeah, I think he's on the ground. There's certainly a few probably on the wall as well, but I think you can walk right up to him. Absolutely.
I think Afito would probably look at him and go, "The boar does not seem so mastered if you let it just run amok. I think we should go to this princess's camp and see what we can find out." And I kind of turn my back on the soldiers and and this fortress and start walking away, kind of expecting people to follow me.
And I think Nasia by this point has sort of gathered up her folks, minus maybe a few that were dissenting that were like, no, I'm going to stay and fight. There's a couple I think that maybe stick around, like, we have to protect the statue of your mother. But for the most part, they all are slinking off to go back. So I think you can easily catch up with this group, because it's a group of like 20 people, right? Like they're not easy to miss, and you can easily catch up with them returning back to the camp. Let's sort of decide if Alfito is going on her own, or if the rest of you are joining her, and then I think maybe we take a little break as we open up the next scene.
Do we need to do anything to convince these other people to join us?
I think if you, who mastered the chains and forged them into a steel rod in your own hands and still bear the burn marks to show it, told them to come with you, I feel like they would follow in Alfita's wake.
I think she's doing that by like just turning her back and marching. The warrior, I expect you to follow me walk. Yep. That's the one she's doing.
Yeah. And I think sullenly we just see them kind of go, they look up at the statue, And, I think already this temple is starting to shake, right? Like this boar is clearly trapped for a time, but it will break free. They look up at the statue, and one of them kind of like does some sort of gesture, like kisses their fingers and touches it, or like they do some kind of like gesture of deference to the statue, and then they heads fall after Alfita. Demetria, our leader, do you follow the baker and lead the rest of the band after her, or are you going to stay at this fortress and find your way in to meet Capra, the huntress?
Oh, I'll probably look to my companions. Actually, I feel like my drive here was capturing this boar, but I'm not certain what our next steps should be. So I looked to see what Aklios and Soteria seem to be making of our crossroads.
I think Actios followed you up to the hill to be within helping distance as you face down the sentry, and maybe as you turn back towards to see Soteria walk away, I say to you, if we want to bust down this door, we should do it while the boar can't intervene. But you're the leader. I'll follow you.
Yeah, and to be clear, we can totally split the party. There's no like everyone's got to do the one thing, and there's also no like you can't go kill that boar right now. Those are all things absolutely on the table.
Yeah, I think I want to learn a little more. I think I'll say perhaps this once the door will be opened without us needing to bust it down. I'd look back to that guard I was speaking to and say, this great hero you serve, this Capra, could we beg an audience of her to learn more of this island we have found ourselves upon?
Nice. Let's the guard sort of like, it seems like you're posing some level of deference to her. It seems like you're not saying she's the usurper, as everyone else calls her, as she's listed in the book, Capra the usurper. Aaron, what will Soteria will do? Will Soteria go follow Alfito and go to the camp, or are you going to stay at the door? By the way, this fortress is called Anosteni. That's the name of the fortress. Everyone knows Anosteni. It's whether you can get in the wall.
Soteria believes that it would be outside the wisdom of Athena to split the party and would like to follow the baker.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome. So we'll open up with Soteria and Alfito in the camp, in Nasia's camp, as they plot, and with Demetria, with Demetria and Cleos at the gates of Anosteni. And yeah, I'm here for it. That sounds good. And we'll find out what happens when we ask nicely. See how that works. And we'll see you guys in a second.